Welcome, everyone. Ready for a deep dive?
Always.
Awesome. Today, we're diving into something pretty powerful, I think.
Yeah.
A whole bunch of Bible verses, actually.
Okay.
All about finding strength and hope, especially when, well...
Yeah, when life throws those curveballs, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you know what's amazing to me?
What's that?
These verses, they're like centuries old,
Right.
but they still hit home.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Like a pep talk from, like, way back in the day, reminding us we're not alone in our struggles.
And that's such a key point, isn't it? That feeling of not being alone.
Definitely.
Especially when things get rough.
Totally.
These verses, they go beyond just like comfort.
Yeah.
They actually offer like a framework for dealing with those tough times.
Oh, interesting. A framework, you say?
Like a guide to navigating those storms, We all face them.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Let's unpack that.
Sure.
Our first theme today is about strength.
Strength, okay.
But not just any strength.
No.
It's about tapping into a strength that's way bigger than our own.
I like where this is going.
Right. So we'll start with Philippians 4.13.
Okay, one of the classics.
Right. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
We've all seen it on those motivational posters, haven't we?
Totally. On coffee mugs, everything.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think it's easy to kind of skim over it.
Oh, for sure.
But what does it actually mean? Like in our everyday lives,
Yeah, that's the real question, isn't it?
What do you think?
Well, sometimes it's easy to read that and think, okay, I can do anything. Like, I have the superpower now.
Right. Like suddenly I can climb Mount Everest.
Exactly. Or write a novel in a weekend.
Yeah.
But I think the deeper meaning is about recognizing, first of all, that we do have limits.
Okay.
We're human, right? And that real strength, that kind of strength that gets you through tough times, that comes from something outside of ourselves.
So it's not about suddenly becoming superhuman?
No, not at all.
It's about accessing a different kind of power.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I like that.
It's there for us.
So give me an example.
Okay, imagine you're facing a deadline at work.
Oh, totally, I know it.
Right. The kind that makes you want to just crawl under your desk and hide.
Oh, been there.
That's when you lean into this verse,
Yeah.
It's not about, like, magically finishing that project.
It's not a magic wand.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about finding the strength to keep going, even when it feels impossible,
To persevere.
Yes. Perseverance, that's a good word for it.
Yeah, and that actually makes me think of another verse.
Oh, yeah.
Jeremiah 29.11.
Okay.
Where it talks about God having a plan for us.
Right.
Which can be, honestly, kind of comforting.
Yeah.
But also totally frustrating sometimes.
Yeah, especially if you're feeling lost.
Right. Like, okay, great, there's a plan, but can someone show me the map?
Haha, exactly. It can be tricky, right?
It can.
Because, yeah, that verse gets interpreted in a lot of ways. But I think, for me, the main thing is about trusting.
Okay, trusting what?
Trusting that even when life feels crazy, even when our own plans fall apart,
right,
there's a bigger picture happening.
So it's less about, like, knowing all the answers and more about surrendering a little bit of control.
Yes, exactly. It's about letting go of that need to control every little thing.
Right.
And just finding peace in the belief that, we're being guided.
Even when we can't see the destination.
Exactly. Like trusting the GPS, even when you're driving through the fog.
Oh, I like that analogy.
You just got to trust the process sometimes.
And that is a perfect segue, I think, into our next theme.
Okay, bring it on.
Renewal and rest.
Rest, now we're talking.
Right. We all need that.
Absolutely.
So Isaiah 40.31 talks about soaring on wings like eagles.
Beautiful imagery.
It is, but I got to be honest.
What's that?
I haven't sprouted any feathers lately, so...
Same here.
What's the real takeaway here?
Well, I think the imagery goes beyond, literal flying.
Right.
It's about getting a fresh perspective.
Okay.
Like rising above the everyday stuff that weighs us down and seeing things from a higher vantage point.
So when we're feeling depleted, this verse is kind of reminding us
exactly.
Tap into something that renews us.
Yeah, like tapping into a source of energy that's bigger than our circumstances.
So like that feeling after a great vacation.
Oh, I love that.
But without the packing and the flights.
Exactly. Yeah, just pure renewal.
Exactly. And this whole idea of rest, it comes up again in Matthew 11.28, right?
Oh, yes. One of my favorites.
Where Jesus actually offers rest for the weary.
Such a comforting thought, isn't it?
It is. But what kind of rest are we talking about here?
Well, it's not just about, getting a good night's sleep,
Right.
although that's important too.
It is.
But it's about finding this deep inner peace
Okay.
that comes from letting go of our burdens.
Our anxieties, our worries.
All of that. It's like saying, okay, I'm going to set this down for a while
Mm-hmm.
and just breathe.
I think we could all use a bit of that.
I know, I could.
It's a good reminder that sometimes the bravest thing we can do is just pause.
Absolutely. Just be still for a moment.
But what about those times when challenges, they just feel unavoidable?
Right, when you can't just pause and it's right there in your face.
Exactly. So that's where our next theme comes in.
Okay.
Facing those challenges head on,
Head on, okay.
but with courage and grace.
Courage and grace. That's a powerful combination.
Isn't it?
It is.
So Psalm 23.4 paints this vivid picture
Oh, yeah, I love that one.
of walking through a dark valley,
Mm-hmm.
but not being afraid.
Yeah, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil.
Right. Powerful stuff.
So powerful.
And I think that resonates with a lot of people, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. We all go through those dark valleys in life, right?
Yeah.
Moments of fear, uncertainty, loss,
Yeah.
And this verse, it doesn't shy away from that. It acknowledges those hard realities,
Right.
but it also offers this incredible antidote to fear,
Which is?
the presence of God.
Mhm.
It's that feeling of knowing you're not alone, even in the darkest moment.
And there's that imagery in the verse too, right?
Right. The rod and staff, they symbolize protection and guidance.
Like having a guide through unknown territory.
Exactly. Someone to light the way, even when it feels scary.
And speaking of guidance,
Yeah.
Joshua 1.9,
Okay.
it's a call to be strong and courageous.
Yes. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go.
Even when we're scared,
Even when we're terrified.
which, let's be real, is a lot of the time.
Right. Life can be intimidating.
It can.
But I think a lot of people get tripped up on this idea of having to be fearless all the time.
Oh, yeah, like we have to pretend we're not scared.
Exactly. And that's just not realistic.
It's not.
Because true courage, it's not about the absence of fear.
Okay, what is it about then?
It's about choosing to act,
Wow.
even when you are afraid.
So, being scared, but doing it anyway?
Yeah, because we have something bigger than our fear propelling us forward.
And this verse reminds us that we don't have to face those fears alone.
Absolutely.
God's with us.
He's right there beside us, giving us that courage to take the next step.
And you know what? That actually connects to 2 Corinthians 12.9,
Hmm.
where Paul talks about God's grace being sufficient, especially when we're feeling weak.
Oh, that's a powerful one. My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness.
It's profound, isn't it?
It really is.
Because I think we often think we need to have it all together, to be perfect, to be strong.
Oh, yeah, that pressure to be perfect can be so overwhelming.
It can.
But this verse, it's like it turns that whole idea on its head.
How so?
Because it suggests that our imperfections,
Yeah.
our vulnerabilities, the things we try to hide,
Right.
those are actually the spaces where God's power can really shine through.
So it's less about striving for flawlessness.
And more about embracing our humanness.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
about saying, okay, I'm not perfect, but that's okay.
I'm enough.
Yes, you are enough just as you are.
And that leads us, I think, to our next theme,
Okay.
which might be the toughest one, honestly.
Ooh.
Trusting in God's plan
Mm-hmm.
and finding peace.
Trust and peace, two things we all crave.
Especially when life feels, out of control.
Definitely.
So Romans 8.28,
Okay, the familiar one.
it gets quoted a lot, but it's also, I think, really misunderstood.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And we know that in all things, God works for the good of those who love him. Now, I don't think that means every bad thing that happens is actually good.
Oh, definitely not. No, life throws us some really tough stuff, things that are just plain painful
Right.
and unfair.
Yeah.
But this verse, I think it invites us to step back
Oh.
and consider a wider view
Mhm.
because it suggests that even in those hardships,
Yeah.
even in the things that feel senseless and confusing, God can still bring about something good.
Something good. Okay.
Yeah, something that ultimately helps us grow and discover our purpose.
So it's not about denying the pain,
No, not at all.
but it's about looking for the meaning within it.
Yeah, it's about trusting that even when we can't see the good,
Yeah.
it's still there, somehow working its way into our lives.
And that connects beautifully, I think, to Proverbs 3.5 to 6,
Oh, yes, a classic.
which encourages us to Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding.
Such good advice, but not always easy to follow, right?
Especially when life feels like a giant question mark.
Exactly. When you just want answers and you want them now.
Yeah, but this verse isn't about suppressing our questions, is it?
No, not at all.
Or our doubts.
I think it's about acknowledging that our human understanding is limited, that we don't see the whole picture,
Right.
and that sometimes surrendering to a wisdom that's bigger than ours, that can lead us to a place of peace.
Even when we don't understand the path?
Exactly, like trusting the guide even when you can't see the whole trail ahead.
I like that, trusting the guide.
Sometimes you just have to take that leap of faith, right?
And that brings us to our final theme for today.
Okay, what is it?
Overcoming trouble with hope.
Hope, that's what keeps us going, isn't it?
It does.
Especially when things are tough.
And John 16.33, I think, really cuts to the chase here.
What does it say?
In this world, you will have trouble.
Okay, not sugarcoating it.
Nope.
Yeah?
But then it says, but take heart, I have overcome the world.
Wow. That's powerful, that shift from trouble to overcoming.
It is. It's like a reality check.
Mhm.
But then this incredible surge of hope.
Right. It doesn't leave us hanging in the trouble.
It doesn't.
It points us towards something greater.
And what makes this so powerful, I think,
What's that?
is that it acknowledges that trouble is just part of life, you know?
Right. It's not pretending it doesn't exist.
It's not.
It's saying, hey, this is reality. Things are going to get hard.
Mhm.
But there's this bigger truth.
Right.
Jesus has already overcome the world.
So our hope isn't just wishful thinking.
Exactly. It's not just hoping for the best.
Right.
It's grounded in something real, something that's already happened.
A victory that's already been won.
Yes. That's what makes it so powerful.
So it's not about pretending everything's fine.
No, it's about being honest about the struggles, but also recognizing that even in the midst of those struggles,
Yeah.
there's a reason to keep going.
There's hope.
There's hope, and there's a power that's bigger than our problems.
We covered a lot today.
We did.
We talked about finding strength in God, renewing our hope,
Yes.
facing those challenges with courage and grace,
Courage and grace, so important.
and trusting in a plan that, let's be honest,
What's that?
we might not always understand.
Right. We don't always see the whole picture.
We don't. But as we wrap up today,
Yeah.
I'd love for you to think about this.
Okay.
How can you apply these verses to your own life right now?
That's a good question.
Which one resonates with you the most?
Yeah.
And what does that tell you about what you need today?
What you need to hear, what you need to hold on to.
Exactly. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive.
This was great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Always a pleasure to dive into these topics.
Until next time, everyone.
See you next time.